Hello and welcome again to Immigration News and Views. My name is David Nachman. I'm one of the managing attorneys at the NPZ Law Group, and I'm back to share some additional information with you with regard to my recent visit to the U.S. consulate offices in India, both in Chennai, in Mumbai, and in New Delhi. But before that, I want to remind you that the NPZ Law Group, Nachman Pawani Zimochek Law Group, is a full-service immigration law firm with offices located in northern New Jersey and Ridgewood, in Midtown Manhattan, and we also have affiliated offices in Bandra, in Mumbai, India, and also in Montreal and in Toronto. I also want to wish our viewers, of course, a very happy holiday, wishing you all safe, happy, and healthy holiday, and also a very, very happy 2014 New Year. All the best of health and prosperity in the new year. So two of the issues which I'd like to address with you today had to do with the discussions that we had with the U.S. consular officers in Mumbai, in Chennai, and in New Delhi. And it was a similar issue that came up as being persistent in each one of the consulate during our working group meetings with the U.S. consular officers. And the first one, of course, has to do with administrative processing, or 221G holds that are being placed on cases. So the officers we had indicated to the officers that we were very concerned about the 221G holds and that we couldn't figure out why the holds were taking place and how we were able to judge how long they were taking place, because we receive on a daily basis inquiries from clients or potential clients who all have questions about administrative holds. So one of the things which we had mentioned, and actually Michael Pawani, my law partner, and I, 6 months ago when we went and visited the U.S. consulates in India, had mentioned to the U.S. consular officers that we would appreciate if they were to maybe redraft the forms and give a little more information rather than just 221G denial, something along the lines of why it was being denied under 221G. Was it because of a security check? Was it because more information is needed? Is it some type of an investigation that's required? Because at least if we find out what the reason is as to why it's under a 221G hold at the U.S. consulate, we can at least give our clients some idea as to what the amount of time might be, or what additional information our clients would be able to get to the U.S. consulate to be able to allow them to make their determination a little bit faster. Now, one of the things I have to say is that and the consulate had mentioned, of course, that they have seen a reduction, a substantial reduction in 221G holds over the last 6 months. I have to say that we have also seen a substantial reduction in 221G holds in the cases that we're handling. Also, we had an opportunity, of course, to address our 221G hold cases with the U.S. consulate when I was in India, and all of them were sufficiently and adequately resolved. With the exception, I think, of one which is currently pending, and at least now we understand why that case might be pending. But one of the things that the officers pointed out, which was really tremendous in helping us to understand what we need to do to help them, is that when something is placed under a 221G hold, oftentimes information on our side changes. So for example, if you're a client and you're under a 221G hold, and let's say you move your place of residence or you change your email address, the U.S. consular officers are going to be reaching out for you at the information or with the information that they already have embedded in their system. So if you have any change at all to the information where they need to reach you, it's very, very important that you get back to them and let them know what that changed information is. If it's a new telephone number, if it's a new email address, if there's a new place where you want them to contact you, it's critical to provide that information to the U.S. consular officer so that they can get in touch with you, especially if they need additional information. Because if they can't reach you, they're not going to babysit you. So it's very important for you to understand that you need to give them updated information at the U.S. consulate. It's absolutely critical. In addition to that, specifically with regard to 221G administrative holds, there was an issue which came up in the H-1B context where there was discussion about PIMs. PIMS, as everyone may be aware, after an H-1B, when an H-1B is submitted, law offices submit 2 copies of the H-1B, as we do. 1 copy goes to the USCIS, the other copy is created to be forwarded to the Kentucky Consular Center in Kentucky, which then enters the information in PIMS. So then that information is transferred by wire to the U.S. consulate abroad, and then the individual goes in for their they go into the U.S. consulate abroad for their visa stamp, and purportedly the consular officer abroad has all the information in the system. However, what seems to be happening, and this is not something that our office had been doing, but it's something that they mentioned in general, because when we submit RFEs, we always submit 2 copies of the RFE, and we ensure that there's an additional copy of the RFE that's placed so that it also goes to the Kentucky Consular Center and then placed into PIMS and forwarded to the consulate. But apparently a large number of 221G holds were happening because the lawyers were not putting the additional RFE information, putting an additional copy of the RFE into their submissions. It was only 1 RFE that they were submitting. So when you submit your RFEs, it's very important to be sure that you submit 2 copies of the RFE, so 1 goes to the Kentucky Processing Center, gets put into PIMS, and gets processed or sent to the U.S. consulate abroad. So that was one of the things that we discussed with regard to how to avoid 221G administrative holds. So with that, what I'd like to do is thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any additional questions with regard to 221G administrative holds or consular processing, either at any of the U.S. consulates in India or anywhere in the world, please feel free to reach out for me or for any of our other immigration lawyers here at the NPZ Law Group. Thanks very much for tuning in, and again, happy holidays to all of you.